Hello, everyone, and welcome to the CPA Lady podcast. My name is Marjorie McPike. I am your host. I am a CPA in Southern California, where I help entrepreneurs and small business owners with accounting, tax, bookkeeping, tax planning. And we also, on the podcast here, we talk about all of those subjects, plus generational wealth and estate planning. So today I have with me Edrina Calderon from Accounting by Edrina, and we're going to talk about small business bookkeeping. So Edrina, will you please tell us some more about yourself?
Sure. Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so happy to be here, and I'm so happy to be talking about bookkeeping with all of you guys, especially if you are entrepreneurs or small business owners. That's kind of like my wheelhouse. So that's really where I focus in. So basically, I started Accounting by Edrina in 2018. I'm like, what year is it? I kind of lost track of all of the years, but in 2018, I was still working a 9-to-5 when I started my business. So I know the hustle of working a 9-to-5 and then also doing the side hustle in starting your business. So if you're there, I hear you, I feel you, hang in there, you'll get through it, I promise. So I have my MBA in accounting at the University of Laverne, which is here in Southern California. I'm located just south of Pasadena right now. And so I've been here for 10-ish years or so. I grew up in Southern California, and I mostly, like in my accounting experience, have been serving nonprofit clients who are related to media. So a lot of radio and television. So that was my professional experience. And now I have my business, which serves entrepreneurs and small business owners of different types of services. So they're service providers, basically.
Awesome. Go ahead.
I did have like one that was like a product shop, but he had a stop during the pandemic. So that was a little challenging for him. But I'm sure we've seen all sorts of things in the past couple of years with this pandemic. So I've always enjoyed finances, budgeting, financial analysis. Like the analysis part is really like my favorite part of it, especially because I tend to see like a lot of small business owners not necessarily looking at their monthly financials or even kind of doing an analysis of their books. So that part is really like my favorite part in talking with my clients. So That's a little bit about me in a nutshell.
So you mentioned nonprofit accounting. So do you work with nonprofit clients now?
Yes. So I do have a couple of nonprofit clients as well.
Okay. That's good to know. Because I also often have people that are looking for someone to help them in their nonprofit organization. So that's good to know that you offer that service and that they're kind of local too. So
and I'm involved with an organization in Pasadena. They're called Jericho Road, and they're like the matchmaker for nonprofits. So they host skill-based volunteers, and they match it with like nonprofits that are in need of like social media help or website design or whatever the case may be for that nonprofit in Pasadena. So they will send that volunteer over to that nonprofit. So I'm sitting on the board of Jericho Road right now, and I just started like in June or July, I guess, when their fiscal year started. So so it's exciting stuff. I love it.
That's good to know as well. Do they only match nonprofits and volunteers with that area, or do they kind of do so just that area?
Yes.
Okay.
I wish there were more like nonprofits like that, because I know a lot of nonprofits need as many resources as they can, and especially to have like a skill-based volunteer there to help out, like that's incredible.
Because that's where a lot of nonprofits fail, is because they don't have the support system in place in order to help them, because it's all volunteers, and we're volunteers, but we're working a full-time job or running a business, but then we're volunteering for this nonprofit organization as well. So I like that. Very cool. Okay. So you said you started your business in 2018. What prompted you to start your business?
Yeah, I think it was just more about like having freedom over like my schedule and having freedom in life. I think working in accounting, as you very well know, can be all consuming, especially with the companies that I was working with. You know, there was always a transition that was happening.
Mhm.
Like when I was about to head out of the company that I was working with, they were actually going through like a huge overhaul. So they were going through a merger, they were going through a like an accounting system change. So
Mhm.
they were going to move from one system, like an older system, to
Oh,
like a
uh-huh.
new system. So I was like in the process of doing all of that. I saw an opening because it was like at this point, you know, the CPA or the CFO was going to change over.
Mhm.
And I was really attached to my CFO previously. And so I was like, you know what? It's probably a good time for me to kind of like take the leap and see if I can do my business full time and see how it goes. And here we are.
Awesome. Awesome. Very cool. I like it. And so, and you've done it and you're doing well. You've been on your own for 3 years now.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think about. Yeah, during the pandemic, I think a lot of people who were thinking about starting a business decided to start a business, and so
Mhm.
there was an influx of clients during that time, which was
Right, right,
awesome.
right.
And then now this year, kind of like things have shifted a little bit, and so I'm seeing a lot of people returning back to work, and
Mhm.
so that it's been kind of sustainable since then. So that's really nice.
So you mentioned new businesses in 2020. I'm sure you got a lot of new clients in 2020 or from 2020. What was that like? You know, because we're supposed to be talking about business bookkeeping. So what was that like? Did you find, people that were knowledgeable about what they needed to do, or was there a lot of educating? What was that like for you?
Yeah, bringing on a small business is a little bit of both. So it's a little bit of educating them, but at the same time, trying to figure out what their needs are, because they might have stakeholders that they need to be reporting to. And
Mhm.
so it's like, okay, well, how, trying to make sure that their monthly financial statements are going to work for them. And if it's not going to work for them, then I want to make sure that I'm doing something to change that so that it does work for them. So, for example, one of the clients that I have is an insurance agency.
Mhm.
And so we started off with like a general P&L kind of statement. And then they decided that they wanted to start using classes in QuickBooks.
Mhm.
So we were able to pick apart two different types of transactions. So I can print out two different types of P&L. At the end of the day, everything rolls up into the whole organization. But it was, going through those types of conversations, and that takes a little bit of time, especially because if they're new, they're also really busy
Mhm.
and getting new business and figuring out what works during a pandemic. So yeah, so that was kind of like one of the fun conversations for me, because that's the piece of it that I really enjoy.
Right, right. And I like that you said that too, because a lot of times people want to just start doing things on Excel,
Yeah.
and with Excel, and I explained to them that, it's like, it's okay, but if you start your small business now on an accounting system, it makes it so much easier to change,
Hmm.
right? You
Hmm.
already have the information. So with you were able to just implement the classes,
Hmm.
right? Instead of having to go back and put all of the information in from the
Yeah.
beginning.
Well, I did have to go back and put all their information in the beginning for that particular client.
Mhm.
But I agree with you. So if you do start in a system
Mhm.
like QuickBooks, doing that transition from doing your own books to the bookkeeper is a lot smoother. But even still, I think with having the spreadsheet, I'm thinking back to a client that I had. They're like a theater production company. They don't own a theater, but they do productions.
Mhm.
So they had something else, like a different app that they were using. And I was able to export all their transactions into Excel. So I
Mhm.
can at least see like the full year, because they were already using that system prior to hiring me. So then I was able to use that as a baseline for their budget for the
Mhm.
next year
For the
in
next
QuickBooks.
year.
So, even with Excel, as long as you're keeping good records,
Mhm.
that's going to be really helpful. And I think the important part of this is to note, like, good data is going to mean good reporting. And so if you have good records, you keep that good data, it's going to be great reporting. If you are not keeping good records, that's bad data and you're not capturing everything. And you might actually lose out on some deductions that you could be claiming for your tax return. So,
right. That's the big part. Because if you, like you said, if you don't have the data, how can you include that on the tax return?
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Especially if you're using, okay, another big one is like, if you're using like two bank accounts, like a personal bank account and a business bank account, and you're like, oh, shoot, I charged this on my personal bank account instead of my business bank account. Well, if your business bank account is connected to the accounting system, but your personal bank account isn't, which it shouldn't be because you're not supposed to be doing that, then, like you're not going to capture that expense that could be a deduction. So very important to keep all of that information separate. And that goes hand in hand with keeping good records.
Yes, keep it separate.
I don't have to tell you, but yeah, some people still do it. It's like, oh gosh.
Yeah, keep it separate. It makes so much of a difference. It does. It really does. So when a client comes to you, because I know a lot of people are a little apprehensive about letting someone, in their books, it's like, I'm letting you see how I spend my money. It's like, so do you have a process that you work through with them, or is it just, a time thing? What can you recommend to someone in order to be able to make that transition smoother?
Oh yeah. So keeping good records is like the number one thing, especially, if you do plan to hire a bookkeeper. And so I do work hand in hand with them when it comes to like when I first sign on a client, I have, a video call where I can share my screen. They can share their screen. We can talk through whatever spreadsheets that they're keeping and the reason why they're keeping it. And if we can move that to QuickBooks, then that's what I want to do, is move it to QuickBooks, because I'm talking about the data. If it's in QuickBooks, that's going to be good data. If it's on a spreadsheet, you might miss something. So making sure you're capturing all the data, and that we're talking about, like I said about the client that I had from the insurance agency from last year, like just making sure that the reporting is what they're looking for, and it's what's going to help inform their future business decisions. So I talk about like what's important for them. Is it important to do a monthly finance check-in? Are you wanting to see a quarterly finance check-in? Like, how often do you want me to interact with you? So I basically do that based off of the client. So whatever the client's needs are, that's kind of where I like fall in line with, okay, this is, and I use Asana. So I'll set up like monthly tasks or weekly tasks, depending on kind of like whatever the client needs.
Okay. Awesome. I think too, it's like you said, you work with them, and that's a big part of having a bookkeeper or an accountant or a CPA, is like you have to work, you have to communicate. It's like, because how can you give them good financials if you don't know the information? So I'm sure you ask a lot of questions. It's like I ask a lot of questions, like, I ask the questions for a reason. If you give me the information, I won't have to ask so many questions. I mean, I'm still going to ask questions, but but it's not like I'm having to pull teeth just to get the information. It's like, get it here because it's going to help you, right? If you have good data, then you can produce good financial statements.
Exactly. And I do send out my like list of questions on a monthly basis to my clients. So if there are, like, as I'm going through the bookkeeping for the month and I notice something that's like out of the ordinary, then I'll add that to my list of questions. And then I give them like just a Google sheet at the end of each month and saying like, here are my questions. And then that is a really good like prompter for me too, because if I see something out of the ordinary, like a really large expense, then I can have a conversation with my client saying, okay, what is this? Is this related to your business? Do we need to depreciate this? Like all of those things, are going to be like prompters for me. So especially if they're not sending me the information, you know?
Right, right. You're
So
having to just go in and find it.
yeah.
Awesome. Okay. So I heard you mention QuickBooks. So is that the only accounting software that you use or that you recommend to your clients?
Yes. So I am a certified QuickBooks Pro advisor.
Okay.
So I use QuickBooks exclusively.
Oh,
Yeah. And I think, okay, so I hear like both sides of it, you know, but I think I really do like QuickBooks for the ease and for the automation. You can set up bank rules, you know, let's say like the client has a $12 charge every month for websites or for emails or whatever. You can set up that bank rule in QuickBooks and it'll automatically kind of attach that category to it, which is really helpful.
right.
And it kind of like makes everything kind of go a little bit easier. So, and I do hear that there are some things with QuickBooks. I do experience a little like questionable things because I'm like, wait, what? But yeah, so I think for the most part, you know, you're not going to get like a really perfect system out there, but for small businesses, I think it's a really good thing. I've worked with like larger accounting softwares and it's like, that's too many things for small
Right.
business owners and entrepreneurs. Like they are going to get lost in the details. So I just feel like it's really straightforward.
Okay. Do you use online or desktop or both?
QuickBooks Online. So
Online.
yeah, and I make sure that if the client was on desktop, that we move everything over to online.
Okay. Okay. I prefer online as well. So
Yes.
do you I recently had an experience with Wave accounting where someone just went and signed up for it because it is free.
Yeah.
And so I've recommended it to people. It's like it is free. It's a good enough program. You know, it does good, you know, and I think that it's a good starting point for someone.
Yeah.
So better than not having anything at all.
I would liken Wave to like QuickBooks self-employed version because I feel like it's just like a list of transactions, you know, and then you can kind of categorize it yourself.
Right.
And then Wave does have the capability of exporting data. So I think that's helpful too.
Right, it is. Okay, so QuickBooks. Yes, 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 yes. I know that you have a course. It's called Bookkeeping for
Yeah, bookkeeping for the entrepreneur.
Right, right. So what prompted you to write the course?
I just felt like there was a disconnect for entrepreneurs to like do their own bookkeeping. I feel like when you're getting started and you're like a one-man show, you're doing everything. So I felt like this would be a really great like self-guided course that you can learn how to do your bookkeeping on a very baseline level. And this is for service-based businesses. And so I just provide all of the information that you would need in order to, you know, file your annual tax return, file quarterly estimated taxes. And so I have like a whole module dedicated to quarterly estimated taxes because a lot of entrepreneurs aren't necessarily familiar with that, which is like a little confusing. But I remember like when I started my business, I was like, okay, I got to be on top of quarterly estimated taxes. Like that was the first thing I was thinking about. So yeah, I think it's just going to be really helpful for entrepreneurs who are just getting started. This is like a baseline and it'll also set you up, like I was talking about before, in like having good data, just making sure that you're capturing everything.
Okay. I like that. I have similar courses, kind of geared towards that part, the bookkeeping, but it tends to go more into the tax, you know, just different things that people should think about when it comes to the tax. So I like that. It's like everyone that I speak to that's a bookkeeper, an accountant, or CPA, you know, they're helping clients. They have this, it's a desire that you really want to educate them and help them to understand what's going on, not just to, you know, don't just give me a bunch of papers at the end of the year. It's like, hey, let's walk through this and help to, you know, give you good information so that you can grow your business or sustain your business or, you know, make sure that you're not getting a big tax bill at the end of the year, right?
Well, you know, and here's the thing too. It's like, at the end of the day, this is not mine, you know, this is your business. This is your numbers. This is your financials. I want you to feel empowered to understand what I'm providing to you, to understand that, like, this is a deduction. This is not a deduction. This is going to be included on your P&L. Like, this is what the balance sheet is for. This is how you use it. So I really want to be like their kind of like a business partner in a sense. But again, at the end of the day, it's not my numbers, it's not my business.
Right. It's not your business. I like the empowerment part. I'm gonna tweet that. It's like,
nice.
Bookkeepers and accountants, they empower you to make better decisions.
Yes. And that's what we really care about too. I feel like it's like, no, this is good for you. Like, this is good for you to know your numbers. It's good for you to understand why this is not a deduction. It's good for you to know that you should be using your business checking account and not your personal checking account. Right. And this is why. And so it's good for them to understand it for themselves.
Okay. I love it. So I'm big on systems, we kind of chatted about systems. So what are some systems that an entrepreneur can implement that would help them to just track their income and expenses, or what can they do? What would you recommend?
Yeah. So I would say, like, find a system that works for you. That would be like my number one thing. So if you are a pen and paper person, if you like journaling, if you like all of that stuff, use your journal to set up reminders on a monthly basis, to download your bank statement, to make sure that you're keeping track of your receipts, to make sure you're keeping track of your mileage. And then if you are not a pen and paper person, find an online system. There's tons of free things out there that are going to be really helpful. So I'm going to be a huge advocate about Asana, because that is one of my favorite things ever. And I basically have created different projects within Asana that reminds me to do these tasks. So I don't have to look on Google Calendar for it. I look on Asana and look at like what I have going on today. And then I just go down each of those tasks. So like for me, it might be multiple clients, I need to send out the questions for the previous month, or I need to provide financial statements. So all of that is just tracked in Asana for me, and I don't have to worry too much about it. Otherwise, I feel like you just got a lot on your mind. And if you don't have that captured somewhere else, you're going to get lost in the details, and you're not going to know what's important that day. So find a system that works for you. And then I would also say, like, if Google Calendar is something that works for you, then use it. Use it to your advantage. So I think there's another system out there that's like Asana, but I'm drawing a blank on the name.
Probably Trello.
Yeah.
Trello. I'm implementing Asana for things in my business. So really want to just sit down and get into it. But I've seen a lot of benefits in just tracking things. But just by you saying that, it's like, and Asana is free, right? Free. So you can be a business owner and set up reminders that you need to reach out to your CPA, even just like when the quarterly estimates are due, just to kind of remind yourself 30 days ahead of that time that's going to be due, or 30 days ahead of the time that your tax return is going to be due, just so that you can start getting that information, and being proactive. I think it makes a big difference. Really.
Yeah. And I would go so far as to say, like, because if you set up a reminder 30 days in advance, it's like, okay, get your quarterly estimated taxes ready. That involves like 10 different steps. I would actually say list those 10 different steps in Asana as a task, rather than just get your quarterly estimated taxes ready. It would be like, look at your bank statements, look at your financials, make sure they match, make sure you're reconciling your bank statement. I would have all of those tasks, because part of the issue, I think, with entrepreneurs and small business owners is not only are we just too busy to remember all of these things, but if you, like, there's like the inevitable, like there's going to be a day where you're not feeling like your best, right? And you're not going to really want to be like, okay, I'm going to download my bank statements and get, excited about that. So if you have that as a task, like you don't need that motivation. You already know, you see it, download bank statements. Okay, I'm not feeling my best, but I'm going to go ahead and do this task and get it done. So I guess that's what I would say to that.
I like that. I like that. Okay, very cool. And you know, business owners don't think about those things either, because bank statements these days are electronic.
Yep.
But at a certain point, you won't be able to get them from the bank. You
Yep.
know, or even making sure that your transactions are up to date, linked to your accounting software, because that will go away as well.
Exactly. Exactly. So for example, one of my clients has me on view only access to their bank. But I can only see up to like 60 or 90 days. I can't remember what it was. So if I am not on track with their bookkeeping, if they are not on track on getting back to me, there's going to be a certain point where I can't see anything more, you know, from the past 3 months or whatever. So yeah, it's really good to stay on top of those things.
Right. Okay. I like that. I like that. I like everything. It's like, let's just get the get the numbers right. Get the numbers right.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. This is a big one. Everyone's the buzz is about the $600 for Venmo, you know, PayPal, the third-party payers, where people are going to start getting the 1099s. Let's talk about, because I was trying to explain this to somebody. So we know that that's the reason for that is because they're supposed to report it, and you're supposed to report the income anyway.
Yeah.
But tracking your expenses, especially through like PayPal or any other third-party software that deducts fees, can you just kind of touch on the importance of that?
Look, I've had clients that have used PayPal and Venmo religiously, like just all the time. And I'm like, ugh. So it's really hard with if you're not able to like view the transactions, or if your client's not sending the statements, then it's hard to know what it's for. Sometimes in QuickBooks, like the banking description only says PayPal, and you're like, okay, what is this? You know? So that happens with a lot of clients. Sometimes there's like a little piece of it where I'm like, oh, okay, I think I know what this is. But again, I don't want to guess. I want the client to make sure that they're telling me exactly what that transaction is for. But yeah, so it can get really confusing the way you set it up with PayPal. So first of all, I would say make sure that if you do have a PayPal or Venmo account, that they are business accounts. So you don't want to be using a personal account. Again, that goes back to your bank. If you do not use your personal bank account, use your business bank account. So that would be the very first thing. And then I think there's like a setup in PayPal or Venmo where it's like, it gets it directly from the bank. So if it's like that one charge, it just goes directly to the bank. If that's the case, I wouldn't necessarily want PayPal to be connected to QuickBooks. So there's a way that you can connect PayPal in QuickBooks as like a bank or as like a credit card or whatever. I don't really like that, because if they are connected to the bank, then that can potentially be a double entry. And I don't want to see that at all. I've seen that before, and it's kind of a mess to comb through. So yeah. And then again, like, you know, so this can become really messy if you're not keeping track of it. It's going back to the keeping good records. And then in QuickBooks, what they do when you're filing 1099s, NEC at the end of the year in January, is that they have like, you can set it up to where the vendor is not going to get printed for that 1099 NEC, especially if the vendor is already captured in PayPal or Venmo.
Okay. See, and people think that, I personally don't like PayPal. I would rather everything go through the bank account. That's old school, right?
No, I agree with you. I'm like, please don't use PayPal.
Because those are all things that you have to track, you know? So it's like, okay, so I issued you a 1099, you know, but PayPal issued you a 1099. So how do we know that we're not paying double tax on that? Or how do we know that we're not deducting enough? You know? And then they wait to the end of the year. I'm sorry, I'm venting, but
go for it.
you wait till the end of the year till March 1st to turn in your information when your return is due March 15th. And it's like, wait, but what's this PayPal?
Yes.
And
Oh
how
my
do I know?
gosh.
So yes, PayPal is messy. It's so messy. It's
It
a good
is.
platform, but like you said, you have to make sure that you're tracking everything and you're not duplicating, right? So yeah, sorry.
Yeah, that's hard. I would definitely say, like, if at all possible, don't use PayPal, but I understand the ease of it. Like, it's like done, and it's like, but really, does that really help you keep good records?
Right.
At the end of the day.
Right. Or if you're doing it, then make sure that you have somebody that's going through that information on a monthly basis, maybe on a weekly basis, to track everything so that you're not duplicating expenses and income.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah, very cool. Okay, that one took something out of me. Because I just want people to it's challenging. So I applaud what you do. I do bookkeeping also, but you're just doing strictly bookkeeping. So, but you do have the opportunity to train clients and help them to be better. And that's the important thing is, like you said, you want to empower people to do better, to know what it is on their financial statements.
Yep.
Yeah. And know what a financial statement is.
Exactly.
Right. Awesome. So is there anything else that you would like to share? Any burning thoughts? I have a question like, so what services do you offer besides just, or I shouldn't say just bookkeeping, but what are the services that you offer?
So I do have, besides the monthly bookkeeping, I do have the online courses that we've already talked about. And then I have a service called Accountant for a Day, where you can hire me for one day and I go through an analysis of one bank account, and I can create kind of like a forecast budget spreadsheet that I'll do the analysis for 1 year, and then I'll help you create a 6-month budget spread so that like exactly where everything lines up. So I do all of that in one day. I do ask for like information up front. And so, so that's one of my services. And then I am working on a new service that I'm going to be offering in January. I'll probably start selling that in November, but it'll be a 6-week live course that I'll be teaching the entrepreneur how to do their bookkeeping for tax time. So I'll go through all of the steps that they need to take for 2021 transactions. And we'll basically do it together over the course of 6 weeks. And so they'll be set up for not just tax time, but also for quarterly estimated taxes for 2022.
Awesome. I like that. I it's amazing. We kind of think the same, because I have a similar program that I'm working on.
I love it.
That's gonna come out. Yeah.
That part is the most exciting, I think, for me, because I feel like I love connecting one-on-one with entrepreneurs and knowing like exactly what their struggles are and how I can help them. Again, like that analysis part is really fun for me. So like talking through that with clients is really fun for me.
Awesome. So definitely have to share information on the course. That's going to be a live course in person or via like a virtual. So
I'll host the like video like live video over Facebook. So it'll be a Facebook group, and then we'll have conversations and homework and all that fun stuff.
Awesome. I like it. And then your Accountant for a Day, is that a virtual service or is it just a local? It's virtual as well?
Virtual.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. That's very good information. And you do primarily service-based clients?
Yes.
Okay.
That's where I like to focus.
Okay. And then, so we talked about the projects, and then any other recommendations, anything else?
Just make sure you're looking at your books. Make sure you're looking at your financials.
Make sure that you have something, right? Make sure that you're looking at them,
Yes, please.
tracking them, yeah. And reach
Yeah,
out. I don't know
exactly.
anyone that would not answer a question. And, I've interviewed a lot of people on my podcast. I've connected to a lot of different people, and it's the same mentality. It's like,
Mhm.
we want to help you to understand your
Exactly.
numbers.
Mhm.
We want to help you to be prepared,
Yes.
you know.
Mhm.
So,
And that's why we're called a support service. You know what I mean? It's like we're supporting you, we're supporting your business.
right,
So we want to help you.
right.
That's what we're here for. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Well,
Yeah.
Edrina, thank you so much for being with me. Can you just share where everyone can find you?
Oh, yes. Oh, yes, please. Thank you again for having me. I really appreciate it. I thought this was a lot of fun. If you want to stay connected with me, you can sign up for my newsletter, accountingbyedrina.com/newsletter, and then you'll get all sorts of fun information. I do have a free download that if people want to, it's kind of just like an overview of your
Okay.
books and
Mhm.
everything. So if you go to accountingbyedrina.com/be organized, you'll get a free download, and then you'll get a couple of emails from me on how to use it. So,
Awesome.
so yeah, I would love to stay connected with you. I'm also on, Facebook, Instagram,
Instagram. And it's
YouTube.
all Accounting by Edrina.
Yes. Mhm.
Awesome.
Yeah,
Awesome. And I like that you work with nonprofits. So we've definitely got to connect on that one as well. So
definitely. Sounds good.
very cool. So thank you everyone for joining. Thank you for listening or viewing on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, share. Just bringing you good information that's going to help you to grow your business, help you to be financially secure, and to secure and pass on that generational wealth. So I am Marjorie McPike. Thank you guys. Have a good day.
Bye.